It's all wins and no losses with new exclusive stations by Odyssey. Discover rock and music stations made for sports fans just like you. Crank up the good times with Tailgate Rock. Get ready for the big game with Troy Hughes Stadium anthems. Or get game ready with tunes from all your country faves on Tailgate Crashers. There are hundreds of new music stations to check out today, from classic rock to today's country and more. For every mood, every interest, every passion, by Odyssey. Listen now with the Odyssey app.
Why does quicksand work so slowly? Question everything. They did. It's how they created the all-new Hyundai Tucson with available innovations like a huge 10.25-inch infotainment screen and digital key technology, allowing you to use your smartphone as a spare key. And you always get Hyundai's complimentary maintenance for 3 years or 36,000 miles. Test drive the 2022 Hyundai Tucson at your nearest Hyundai dealer or learn more at HyundaiUSA.com. Call 562-314-4603 for complete details. Tell Alexa to open Hyundai Driver. Why does quicksand work so slowly? Question everything. They did. It's how they created the all-new Hyundai Tucson with available innovations like a huge 10.25-inch infotainment screen and digital key technology, allowing you to use your smartphone as a spare key. And you always get Hyundai's complimentary maintenance for 3 years or 36,000 miles. Test drive the 2022 Hyundai Tucson at your nearest Hyundai dealer or learn more at HyundaiUSA.com. Call 562-314-4603 for complete details. Tell Alexa to open Hyundai Driver.
It's Moose and Maggie on The Fan. Sports Radio 1019 FM and Sports Radio 66, WFAN and WFAN FM, New York.
All right, here we go. 103 here on this Friday afternoon. Moose and Maggie, the program. Ricky Ricardo joining us now in his customary spot. Spanish broadcaster for Yankees baseball, Eagles as well. And Yankees coming off a disastrous loss last night. And the Ricky Ricardo report is brought to you by BetMGM Sports. Place your parlays, props, and futures bets at the king of sportsbooks. Get the app today. Good afternoon, Ricky. How you doing, bud?
I'm getting over it. Slowly but surely, I bring you, ladies and gentlemen, the official Ricky Ricardo Babalu shot glass that was used last night with the Casamigos tequila.
Nice.
The minute I walked into my apartment after that debacle at Fenway Park last night. Right here, this got me through the night with the good folks at Casamigos.
We'll pass it along.
There you go. Very nice.
I'm sure they'll
Ricky.
be happy to know that they helped smooth that
I don't
over.
think that, Ricky, I think that dulls the pain. There's still pain nonetheless.
Absolutely. The añejo was okay for about 4 hours. Yeah.
In terms of bad losses, though, because, here's the thing. I still believe that, the mojo and the new feeling and the different way the Yankees are playing, that doesn't all go away from last night. It's teetering. It's like a good party and everyone's on the dance floor and the DJ just has to play the right tune here. Now, that could be Garrett Cole on the mound tonight, and that could help. But I don't think all the good vibes from the last couple of days are totally washed away because of last night.
No, I agree. But let's remember, the last time we had this kind of situation, luckily you had the All-Star break, was the Sunday in Houston when Chad Green gave up the home run to Altuve. So you had those first 2 games and it looked, we're back. We're going to win 5 out of 6 on the road trip, 2 out of 3 in Seattle, about to sweep the Astros. Bang. They blow it in the 9th inning. So hopefully there's not a letdown tonight. And let's remember the last time Garrett Cole pitched at Fenway Park, Kike Hernandez was slowly becoming the Red Sox version of Jose Altuve. I can hear it now from the bleachers. FTK, he's becoming the Yankee killer here. This is a big game tonight because they could have gone, 5 in a row, 1-0 in this series. Your best pitcher on the mound tonight, you could have possibly had a guaranteed split, no worse than that if Cole's good tonight. And that 9th inning last night, and then the 4 wild pitches from Krisky, just disastrous.
Yeah, just bad. I mean, all the way around. And they had that game where they wanted with Chad Green having the baseball. I guess the frustrating aspect of it, Ricky, is they talk about the importance of these games all the time, right? How important they are. And they are, right? Because of what they did in the first half. But, you go into game 1 up in Boston with Montgomery on the mound with no Chapman, no Britton. Sanchez doesn't get any at-bats. You look at the bottom 4 of that lineup, and they did enough offensively, and Green was a disaster, but it's almost like the Yankees at times and Boone talk out of both sides of their mouth.
Look, there was some decisions last night, Moose, that to me made no sense. Number 1, Jordan Montgomery was dealing last night. So they get a ground ball single to the right side when you've got the defense shifted to the left. that's enough to get him taken out of the game after only 83 pitches? I didn't agree. I thought he overmanaged there. Number 2, Luis Cessa. Luis Cessa, of all people. Yeah, you're hearing me right, folks. Luis Cessa has become a pretty dependable reliever. 5 pitches the man threw in the 8th inning. The more guys you trot out there, the more chance there is that one of those guys is not going to be on their game. And you saw what happened with Green. I don't know, my gut, and we said it on the air on my broadcast, why not leave Cessa out there? He only saw 3 hitters in the 8th inning. It's not like he went, one time around in the batting order. Only made 5 pitches. Last night, the Red Sox hitters were really susceptible to junk. Breaking pitches, sliders, they were way out in front. The Red Sox hitters, when you look at the close-ups of their faces, and I know these guys, they had the same look as – have you guys seen Kevin Durant, the video of everybody singing happy birthday to Kevin Durant?
Yeah.
Yes.
Trolling him. The look on Durant's face is what the Red Sox hitters looked like last night. They were all befuddled, like, what the heck's going on here? and so then Green, and he just throws fastball after fastball after fastball to Kike Hernandez, who is a clutch hitter and has been on fire this week. And there you go. The game gets tied, and then we know what happened in extra innings.
Ricky Ricardo is our guest. Is there something you think that's wrong with Chad Green? I mean, Boone said afterwards he thought he was actually throwing better pitches than he threw in Houston. They were just obviously getting hit. Is he just on fumes? Is he what's going on with Green?
I didn't like the pitch selection last night. He was throwing hard. He was getting them by. These Red Sox hitters are very good fastball hitters. But he made the one guy look silly with a breaking pitch who he struck out looking. I thought the pitch selection in the next 2 at-bats left a lot to be desired. But look, he's throwing hard. His fastball hit 96 last night. The breaking pitch had plenty of hook to it. I just didn't like the way that they worked those. These Red Sox are professional hitters. And I don't know if maybe it's, maybe lack of chemistry with Brantley behind the plate. You could have had Gary pinch hit late in the game in one of those big-time situations and have the last couple of innings. I just didn't think they were in sync. Green and Brantley, I just didn't like the way that they approached the last couple of at-bats with pure hard stuff.
Ricky, where are we, number 1, with Chapman and the finger, number 2, Loaiza getting off the COVID list?
Well, if you saw Araldis's fingernail, it's kind of like mangled, so it's really gross. But that's just a matter of time for it to heal. As far as Loaiza pitched a simulated game yesterday. I think he threw 20-something pitches, and there's a possibility that he could be put back into the bullpen by the end of the weekend. More than likely, for sure, against the Tampa Bay Rays as of Tuesday. But he has been a key piece when you really miss Loaiza now as that bridge to whether you want to go to Chapman or if it is Chad Green. But that 7th, 8th inning guy, Loaiza, has been dynamite all year. So hopefully he's back sooner than later, but it shouldn't be any further than either Sunday or the series in Tampa.
Yeah, Ricky, before last night, we were really kind of singing the praises of these Yankee call-ups, how they've sort of, re-energized this team, provided something new and different that the team was lacking, versatility, lefty bat, Greg Allen being the switch hitter, Florial being the lefty. Let's put last night aside for a second.
Right.
Do you think that Frazier and Andujar actually should be a little bit worried that they might have their playing time taken by these 2 guys? Or do you think once Andujar and Frazier are right, they're back in this lineup?
I'm not sure about Frazier, and what he's got is something you really can't put a finger on with this vertigo. That's a real delicate situation. And Andujar has told me personally the other day that his wrist is much better. He's starting to take batting practice. He could be eligible and healthy enough to come off the IL probably in that during that Tampa Bay series also. It's a parachute, Mags. It is a parachute for Brian Cashman because, invention is, it comes from necessity here.
Right.
So all of a sudden, out of a situation that nobody could have predicted, you're seeing guys perform in a situation where there's pressure on them. These are big, big games, and they perform very, very well. Now, is it enough of a sample size for you to take the leap and say, okay, I can move off of an Andujar or a Frazier or some other piece, maybe to reinforce your bullpen going further for these last couple of months? I think Greg Allen, yes. I'm not sure about Florial. I think he needs more time at AAA. But with Locascio out, and, he's got a knee issue, so I don't expect him to come back. Maybe Greg Allen stays on the major league level and provides you that switch hitter, that speed, and some of that energy that he's brought along. But I'm not sure if the sample size is big enough. The Ryan Lamars of the world, okay, fine. You're not going to get much for any of those guys if you deal them in a trade. But it is a good parachute for Brian Cashman in case he wants to go out on a limb and make a move for maybe for some bullpen help.
Mm-hmm. All right, Ricky, how about what you've seen here? He's been on a little bit of a hot streak, had the sac fly last night. What you've seen here from Gleyber offensively?
Starting to come out of it. Much better at bats. That's what I'm seeing from Gleyber. He's getting the fat part of the bat on the ball. Carlos Mendoza, the bench coach and, one of Gleyber's mentors on the team, told me the other day, he said, keep your eyes on Gleyber. That twinkle in his eyes starting to come back, that swagger. You can see it now when he does some of the little things. He's got the smile on his face as compared to what he looked like a couple of weeks ago. It's all confidence with Gleyber Torres. It is. It's really between the ears. Much better at bats, much better contact, a lot of going the other way. Last night, that sac fly that put Renfroe onto the warning track was to right field. So when Gleyber's hitting the ball hard the other way, that's a good sign that he may be coming out of it and might have a really, really good last couple of months. You're going to need him.
Oh, absolutely. It was a bummer about the error in the game against the Phillies. That's one that ends up leading to a big inning, but they end up winning the game, so you can kind of forgive it, I guess. And then last night, he was good with that sac fly. Ricky, I think Yankee fans, I know, because they call us and tell us about how much they like seeing this sort of small ball, right? And, it's great to see, right? It's great to see double steals. It's great to see, moving the runners and sac flies and bunts and all of that. Where Moose and I would disagree about last night is I don't think they did do enough offensively. I thought there were times when they really could have pushed the envelope more. And one of the things was the Odor bunt. The fact that they had 2 on and no out, yeah, he had the bunt, and it did lead to the Gleyber sac fly, so it did his job. But he's against Adam Ottavino, who can't pitch to lefties, and Odor's here to hit home runs. Are they doing too much of the small ball is what I'm trying to say. Like, they were having success with small ball and home runs. Last night, the home run wasn't there for them, and they lost.
No, I don't think the conditions last night, the ball wasn't traveling, number one. I'm not going to disagree with you, Mags. I'm just saying I am so pleased by watching them actually do this, because you're starting to question whether they had the ability to do some of these
Fair.
things. LeMahieu stealing bases, Gleyber in a 1-1 count the other night with his sac bunt. Odor, we've seen him drag bunt for a hit this week, a beautiful one up the first baseline. Last night was a sacrifice bunt, obviously, to move the runners over. In a tight game like last night, it doesn't bother me. You're on the road. Another run there was going to be big. The Red Sox they were not on their game offensively last night. So one run was huge in a tight ball game last night. I understand where you're coming from. Don't overdo it. The DNA of this team is power. Okay, we know this. And 9 out of 10 times they're going to beat you with power and extra base hits. But in a game like last night, the Odor bunt didn't bother me at all. I kind of understand it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Ricky, Cole tonight, a big-time start. He's been great his last 2, one against Houston, one against Boston in the rain, last weekend, at Yankee Stadium. This is going to be one where they're going to need him to give you at least 7 innings. Confidence level that Garrett is going to be able to step forward tonight in Fenway. Yankees got to win this game tonight and give him a dominant start.
I'm banking on Garrett Cole's competitive nature to want to have a big-time comeback performance against the Red Sox, coming off of what happened the last time on that Sunday afternoon in the first series against Boston with, Kike jumped on him first pitch of the game, bang.
Yep.
J.D. Martinez, bang. Cole's one of those guys that doesn't forget, okay? So I think tonight he'll have a bit of a chip on his shoulder. Eduardo Rodriguez shut the Yankees out. Well, that was last Friday. He pitched very, very well against the Yankees. So tonight could be a low-scoring, tight ball game. But my confidence level in Cole is high tonight because they need this game. They need the momentum to get picked up again coming off the loss last night. And I just think Cole's the kind of guy that, things bother. He takes it to heart what happened the last time against the Red Sox. And he'll come out with extra focus tonight. Now, remember, he won't have Higashioka behind the plate. It'll be Gary. And sometimes it's not the same chemistry with Gary and Cole. You can tell when Cole sometimes shakes him off a little bit and the rhythm gets thrown off. So that'll be important tonight to watch the way those two work with no Higgy back there. Gary's got to be on his game tonight, but I'm high on Cole tonight. I think he'll come up big.
Ricky Ricardo is our guest, of course, Spanish language voice of the Yankees. Check out his Bases Loaded podcast as well, as we mentioned, also Spanish language voice of the Philadelphia Eagles. Okay, so now, you're looking at the Yankees, Ricky, and trade deadline is going to be the talk of the town. You just saw the Rays, who the Yankees are chasing. They added Nelson Cruz yesterday, and then today they trade Rich Hill to the Mets. That just happened like 20 minutes ago. Yeah. So what do you
Here's
make of
my question, Maggie. What's wrong with Rich Hill?
Yeah,
There's
please
gotta
don't
be
say
something wrong with Rich Hill.
Who trades with the Rays? And doesn't regret it.
Well, you look at
Exactly.
it. Joel Sherman had the tweet. You look at what since the spider tack or sticky substance crackdown on baseball, June 8th. You look at Rich Hill. His ERA is right around 5, 4.7. Opponent's batting average is at 286. Before that, the stats were not even close. I mean, he was remarkably better before that. So you've seen the downturn for Hill the last 8 starts.
Do you think the Mets have that information?
What are they getting back? Tommy Hunter and Matt Dyer, a
Correct.
double-A catcher? You may as well have sent them Duffy Dyer as a catcher. He'll become Johnny Bench in the next 2 seasons. I guarantee it. The Rays don't lose trade. I mean, this could be a Band-Aid with Rich Hill for the rest of the season. And he's a lefty junk baller, good in the middle of that hard-throwing, Mets rotation. So it's a nice counterbalance to the DeGroms and the Stromans of the world. But I bet you one of those guys in that deal steps up big in postseason or down the line, and you'll say, that's the guy the Mets traded to the Rays for Rich Hill.
Amazing. The Mets just traded away the next Mike Piazza. Is that what you're saying? That's phenomenal. That's going to make me feel great going into the weekend, Ricky. So thank you so much for that. But really, yeah.
I want that a week away, right? Next 4 o'clock, MLB trade deadline next Friday, right? What do you think? What do you think Cashman and the Yankees do?
Bullpen. I think you have seen enough of Florial, Greg Allen. The reserves here, I think, have shown you enough that center field and that outfield quandary, I think, is settled. Right now, what was the Yankees' strength at the beginning of the season has been what has kind of, knocked them off the tracks here, which has been bullpen help. Britton hasn't been the same. He needs more work. I think one more quality bullpen arm is the call of the day here. So between now and next Friday, I can see Cashman putting a package together to get one more reliever, one more really competent reliever that'll help down the stretch here. Because I do think with Severino coming back at some point in August and Kluber, you can't say they're not. So if you try to bring in a starting pitcher, are you really going to be able to deal for somebody who is better or is going to give you more than Severino or Kluber? Probably not. You don't have those kind of chips to deal for somebody that is that much better than those two. So within the range that you're dealing with, you're really looking at a quality reliever, somebody to replace a Darren O'Day who probably won't come back this year. So I'm looking for a deal on that level, some kind of 6th, 7th inning quality relief pitcher. Adam Warren did not get called up, which I thought was surprising. It was Romano that got called up for last night's game. So an Adam Warren type, that kind of middle relief pitcher, that's what I think will happen.
Hey, Ricky, we appreciate it. Hopefully you're having a nice glass of Casamigos later after a victory, all right?
Right here with the shot glass, baby. Right here.
There you have it. Ricky
Hopefully
Ricardo.
You're toasting after the game tonight, not just drowning.
No doubt.
Yeah. Training camp next week, by the way. Let's go, NFL.
How about that?
Right around the corner. Ricky Ricardo, Spanish broadcaster for the Yankees and, of course, the Philadelphia Eagles. Game 2 tonight, Yankees-Sox up at Fenway Park. Cole on the mound. Garrett's got to deliver for the Bombers. We'll get into more. 877-337-6666. Pick of the day coming your way in the 1 o'clock hour. We've got Yankee tickets to give away this hour as well. Plenty of your calls, too. Rich Hill, now a Met, as the Mets acquired the southpaw from the Tampa Bay Rays about 30 minutes ago for Tommy Hunter and Matt Dyer. You can chat in about that, too. Yankees, are they pursuing a reliever, as Ricky speculated, come next Friday in the MLB trade deadline? A lot on the plate. Moose and Maggie with you, the fan in New York.
Want to thank our friends over at Town Fair Tire. They remind you that at Town Fair Tire, it's where you always get the guaranteed lowest price on name brand tires from Connecticut to Maine. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody. Mets make a trade for Rich Hill. He can be a starter. He can be a reliever. He's obviously a seasoned vet, which is a nice way of saying he's 41. He's had a lot of big game experience, pitched a lot in the postseason, of course. And, I don't think this is the only move. I hope this isn't the only move for the Mets. It's a move to get a guy. Moose said before the break about how his numbers have really taken a crater, since the crackdown on sticky stuff. Hopefully, as a veteran pitcher that he is, he can find his way through that and still be effective. We just talked to
here they are to back it up, right? Yeah. So 11 starts through May, 3.32 ERA, 194 batting average against, 616 OPS. Right? And Sherman had this. Give Joel credit. He tweeted out after the MLB memo went out on June the 3rd, has made 8 starts. ERA is 4.70, 257 batting average against, 826 OPS.
Okay. So different, very different.
Yes.
But you have to believe that he could find his way through it. I mean, listen, there is a part of any Met fan that, anyone who makes a trade with the Rays, and lives to, who doesn't live to regret it, that's a very small list, Moose. I mean, the Rays don't make, this is how they've really built their team.
Trades.
They win these trades.
They win these deals.
And, Rich Hill's not making a lot of money. So, it's like $2.5 million for the Rays. That's obviously a lot more meaningful than the Mets. I just hope that he's, this isn't some kind of a real oopsie doops here by the Rays. I have to believe the Mets would be smarter than that.
Well, I think we have to be realistic of what Rich Hill is.
He's a fourth or fifth starter.
That's it.
And can pitch out of the bullpen in the postseason.
Right. That is what he is. So you want to say that there's value in Rich Hill? Yeah, you can make that argument. I think the Mets are going to be on the hook for about $800,000. Of what's left on. You mentioned what tad over $2 million that he's making this year. So for Hill, it's a depth piece. Maggie, the Mets have been searching for starters here. The bullpen has been overtaxed. It's been kind of a who's who of guys you would have no idea, have never heard of, that have been pitching for this team, especially in Cincinnati. So you go get a guy, he's not going to give you 7-8 innings every single start. There have been stretches where he's been a 5-inning pitcher, but you'll take that if you're the Mets now, because there's been, there's questions around DeGrom, there's questions around Carrasco. You need guys that you can, and he's not going to be Jacob DeGrom, obviously, but you need somebody that you believe that you can plug in, that can give you a dependable start at the back end of that starting rotation. In steps 41-year-old Rich Hill.
Yeah.
It's a solid move. There's reasons to be concerned about, and there's reasons why the Tampa Bay Rays decided to move on. It's interesting that, they had Nelly Cruz yesterday, trade Rich Hill today. You'd have the sneaky suspicion that there's going to be some other move that's in the works here for the Tampa Bay Rays.
Yeah, or they call up somebody from their minor league system that all of a sudden is ready to roll and just is going to be pitching, 98. And just throwing gas. So maybe that's it. I don't know. There's nothing, you can't hate the move. You can't even dislike it because we don't know Matt Dyer, Tommy Hunter. I mean, that's not anything big to give up. So a little bit of insurance there. Fine. I mean, the big thing about Rich Hill, last time when he was pitching, in 2018 for sure, when he was pitching for the Dodgers, it was just that it was a really big deal about whether he could go the third time through the order, which he never was. Remember, and he was pitching really well, but Dave Roberts was very insistent on following the numbers there in the analytics, and they would not let him pitch 3 times through the order. So, you're getting a guy hopefully in short spurts that can be effective.
Yeah, analytiks always wins, right? Analytics made me do it.
Well, we know that Steve Cohen really loves the Dodgers. He tried to buy the Dodgers. We know that he holds them in high esteem.
Yes. South Plainfield we go. It's Mac. What's going on, Mac?
Thanks for taking my call. I'm sorry I couldn't get in yesterday on Stroman.
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy about Rich Hill. We've needed this all year. No more Jared Eichhoff, those guys.
Yeah.
Now, whenever I talk about Stroman, it sounds like I have it in for him, and he's a real popular guy. So let me say 2 things that I like about Stroman. He is perhaps the best defensive pitcher fielding that I can ever remember seeing. This guy is a cat out there. He's tremendous with his glove. And he has a high IQ. I don't mean baseball IQ. I mean literal IQ. He's a real smart guy. I respect both those things.
Okay.
But?
Yeah, your big butt's coming.
The 8 innings, 1-hit ball, rather than that being indicative of what Stroman is, that was literally, and I looked this up, his best start of his career. He's never had that before. I don't know if you put much stock in game score as a statistic, but it was 86. Mm-hmm. He's never been over 80 before. He was 80 twice in his career.
Right, but you wouldn't be paying him off of one start.
No,
He's had a great
so-
season.
Yeah, he's
so
had a
far.
very good year.
Well, let me say about the great season. That's what I want to say. The 4 starts leading into this, 3 innings, 5 or 6 hits, 5 innings, 5 innings, 5 innings, 5 innings, 8 hits. I mean, so the last 4 starts leading into this, he was really on a slide in the start.
Okay,
before
well,
that.
one was the hip issue, wasn't it? And the other thing is he's going to give up hits.
No, that was 5 starts ago.
Was-
The 4 starts where he went 3, 5, 5, 5. The hip injury was 1 inning.
Okay. Sorry, was one of them? Also, he was coming off the bereavement list. I remember one of his games. But this is the thing about Stroman. He gives up hits. We know that. He does pitch to contact. That's why it's so important for the Mets to have a better defense behind him. He's not a swing and miss guy.
No, he's not. At one point in time, he was in his career. He's not that anymore, and that's why he was pitching to an under 3 ERA with Toronto before the Mets acquired him, and Brody Van Wagenen acquired him. I mean, it's we had the conversation yesterday about Stroman. We don't have to rehash the entire thing. It's a matter of whether or not you believe in him long term. What's the marketplace going to look like? Are you willing to go to $100+ million on a long term deal for Marcus Stroman? And I think there are a number of factors that come into play that we don't know the answers to yet before it determines whether or not I'm willing to pay Marcus Stroman. Just based on what I know now, I'd have concerns about giving him a long-term 5-year contract. Maggie more so is on board. Mm-hmm. She would pay Marcus Stroman. She's seen enough.
For more like 4 years. But.
Yeah, right. 4 or 5 years, whatever it might be. But I got to see a little bit more from Stroman, and I got to see exactly what else the Mets do before next Friday as well. Bayside we go. It's Joe. What's going on, Joe?
Hey, how you doing? Hi, Moose and Maggie. How's everything?
Hey, Joe.
Good, Joe.
Moose, I caught the tail end of it, but you were talking before about the NFL coming down basically with that edict regarding the ramifications in the event of if you refuse to get the COVID vaccine, and there was an outbreak on the team would cause them to forfeit the game. And
right.
I noticed there was a couple of players yesterday that sort of intimated, they're sort of dancing around it now, but they intimated yesterday, well, maybe they would think about retiring. Yeah,
well, it's DeAndre Hopkins, I think, and he deleted
the
it.
Tweet down.
Yeah, he deleted it.
Yeah, I don't get it. You just had hospital staff workers. Now, I'm not talking about doctors. Hospital staff workers that took the same position and lost their job. You have companies that are telling their employees that in order to work for the company, you have to take the vaccine, and you would lose your job if you didn't. You got universities telling their students if you refuse to get the vaccine, you're not going to be able to attend school. They're being told they're not that they're going to lose their job, that they may, in the event that the unthinkable happens, that they might forfeit a couple of checks, and they got a problem with that?
Yeah, they do.
Well, what are you telling people who lost their job?
Well, every instance is not one and the same.
No, I understand that, but I'm talking about.
I understand. There's no reason that the people at the hospital should be losing their jobs. I understand that a company went out there and wants to mandate that their employees go out there and get the vaccine, but not every situation is the same. It's really it's hard to compare, the leverage that athletes and the Players Association have as compared to other companies around the country when you're looking at the employees. Now, this is something that the Players Association agreed to, but there is not a mandate put down on the players that they have to get vaccinated.
No, they can be unvaccinated. They just have to live with the consequences. And the NFL is clearly making the consequences. They're trying to up the ante to make the consequences more and more dire so that if, it incentivizes players to go get the vaccine.
Right.
Right, so the NFL yesterday wants me to believe, there's an outbreak on the Dallas Cowboys with unvaccinated players. They're going to go to Jerry Jones and they're going to tell you, yeah, you know what? You're not going to have the 110,000 people coming through that gate because you're going to have to forfeit that game. That's nonsense. That's nonsense. You want to go out there and you want to take game checks away from players. That's one thing, right? You want to say that the whole idea that the NFL went out there yesterday and said that games will be forfeited as a scare threat, and it's a threat. They would never carry it out. They're never going to forfeit a game this upcoming NFL regular season. To get more people vaccinated, that's fine. Here's what it comes down. It comes down to the information. You want the players and the NFL, and they've done the right thing, get the doctors in front of the players. Maggie mentioned the NFL doctor that's talked to over 200 players. We're looking at a league where right now, as we sit on this Friday, right around 80% of the players are vaccinated. that, now you have the other 20% that you're looking to try and get into, the 90 to 100 percentile. I get where the NFL's trying to go here, but some of that threat by the NFL yesterday, I just felt was nonsense. They'll never forfeit a game.
No, I don't think it'll ever get to that point in any case. But that being the case, but there was no problem last year when the players decided to just sit out, correct?
No,
you could sit out.
You didn't get paid though.
Well,
right. No, I understand.
Or did you get a part of your?
You got a part of it.
How many jobs do you know on the outside that afford you the opportunity to say, you know what? I don't know enough about this particular vaccine.
Right. Well, I mean, they have.
I'm not going to take it.
It was uncharted waters. It's an unprecedented situation.
Joe, you can sit out this year.
And you have a strong. And you have a players union, and they try to come to some kind of kind of compromise there because everyone was scared. We were right in the middle of the pandemic.
What was the date? It was like 2 weeks ago. There was a date this year that if you decided to sit out due to COVID-19, it was a date that a lot of people were looking at for Aaron Rodgers, that if you wanted to sit it out, you're not going to get paid for the year. But the point is you did not have to give back signing bonus or you did not have to give back any of your bonuses in order to do so. So the NFL opened up that avenue this year for players as well. Now, you're not going to get paid. The game checks are not going to continue to roll in. But if you were a player that decided to sit out and you got a huge signing bonus, you did not have to give that signing bonus back to said team.
Yeah, I also remember when Mike Florio joined us, let's not forget, he said that this is also you're taking into account in terms of the percentage of teams that are vaccinated. Remember, it was the 90 guys. They were counting everybody when they cut down the rosters, right? They expected that number was going to go up. But I do think that the timing was that they wanted guys their last chance here before training camp to get a vaccine if you are going to get a vaccine. And then I think the other thing, too, that the NFL should be trying is that, some of the players that are tweeting out things and putting things on social media that are just like factually incorrect about this. Try to get to those guys because, it's one thing if you have some kind of other situation that keeps you from taking the vaccine, some kind of medical situation, you really cannot take it. I mean, for the people who are just getting misinformation on Facebook and Instagram and just being totally misled, let's try to get the doctors, that these players trust, which might not be an NFL doctor, quite frankly, but a doctor that these players trust to try to give them real, solid, tangible information, not hearsay.
He's been waiting a while, and he wants to talk about it. It's the opening ceremonies. Harvey.
Hello. Did you see the guy from Tonga? He was back.
Harvey, I got to let you know, Maggie was just so locked into the opening ceremonies this morning. Well,
the guy from Tonga was all lathered up, remember, in Rio?
Yes,
he came back.
He was back.
And he looked kind of sheepish, like, oh, man, I'm doing this again.
Yeah.
I want to wear my doctor hat today, if you wouldn't mind. Over the last 6 weeks, I have followed the whole issue of the Olympics, and I've tried to alert anybody I could that there could be a problem if they don't postpone the Olympics. And I did make 3 calls with one host and another call with another host. This is a very important issue for me. And I became very concerned on May 22nd when only 4.5% of the population were immunized. They quickly approved a couple of vaccines, got up to 10. I think it's about 20. But there have been protests.
Are you talking about in Japan?
In Tokyo.
In Japan, right.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, if you want to talk about here, as a matter of fact, the Olympic trials director, I think it was Riley, said that basically they're going through with it because it's based on normalcy. And, we're right here you can consider this normal. But in Japan, there were protests by physicians, by the public. 60 to 80% of the population were against holding the Olympics.
No, they're not happy that the Olympics are going on. And I think that, I think it'd be right to listen to the citizens of that country as opposed to just sort of pushing this through. Listen, like everyone, appreciates how talented these athletes are and that this is their moment and they work so hard. But it's hard to feel like really great about this, Moose, because the people in Japan don't seem like they really wanted, at least reading news reports.
There were protests outside the opening ceremonies.
And I'd be curious to hear from like reporters on the ground about how the feeling is there and athletes on the ground about how the feeling is there. Because this just definitely seems like it's pushed through. Listen, sports got pushed through last year at the NFL, college football. I mean, we pushed through a lot of stuff when, the probably more prudent move would have been to postpone.
No, I get it. I do feel, Maggie, I do feel bad for the athlete. It's not their fault.
No, of course not.
No, so I feel bad. This is kind of their moment. A lot of athletes is going to be their one and only moment in the Olympics. Others, they've been to multiple Olympics here. So, those from all around the world, obviously those athletes should be celebrated for what they accomplish here during the Olympics. But, Yeah, I mean, we mentioned it the other day with the 80% of public sentiment over in Tokyo. They don't want the Olympics to go on. You've seen a number of people saying, there was even the report that the CEO of the Tokyo Olympics, literally 3 days ago came out and said there's a chance that of a last minute cancellation of these Olympic Games. Yeah, it's a big time risk, and I can understand why the citizens over in Tokyo are upset that these games are still going on.
I saw that
with what their nation is going through.
Absolutely, I saw that the women's gymnastics team for USA, two of the alternates one of the alternates had tested positive, another one was in close contact, so they had to quarantine. And the women's Olympic team decided to leave the Olympic Village, and they're now staying in a hotel because they realize they're unfortunately going to miss out on like the experience of that, but that they'd rather try to be as safe as possible. And I thought more athletes would probably want to do the same.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Props, money lines, parlays, round robins. Whatever can be bet will be bet. It's the Moose and Maggie pick of the day.
All right, here we go. It's a Friday, and we're 4-0 on the week.
How about that?
Yes, we are 4-0 on the week. Thank you, San Diego. Last night as the Padres held on against the Marlins 3-2 to the good. So 4-0 week. We look for the undefeated week. It's a Friday, and it's time for our daily pick. It's brought to you by Ramsey Mazda. Choose wisely. Choose Ramsey Mazda. By the Sportsbook at Wind Creek, Bethlehem. Play online or in person. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. And by Casamigos Tequila. Casamigos available in Blanco, Reposado, Anejo, and Mezcal. All right, Maggie Gray, we're going to go a little Yankees tonight. Yankees, Red Sox. Disastrous loss last night. Cole on the mound tonight. Don't shake your head, Dove Kramer.
He is shaking his head.
Don't shake your head. In the Cole train, we trust. The Yankees plus 104 tonight. Get us to that 5-0 week. Get us to, I don't care about whether or not the Yankees make the playoffs. Get us to that 5-0 week.
Is he going to have to pitch a complete game tonight?
Maybe. Honestly, maybe. Throw 180 pitches. Give us Garrett Cole and the Yankees tonight, plus 104 up in Beantown. That is your Moose and Maggie pick of the day for this Friday.
Enjoy our pick of the day as you would a Casamigos Tequila. Casamigos Tequila is brought to you by those who drink it. And our Casamigos cocktail for this Friday, I think it's because I'm feeling a little bit under the weather. Like I want something spicy to, open my nasal passages.
Yes.
So the spicy jalapeno margarita is where it's going to be at for me. Just what the doctor ordered.
Clear up the sinuses.
I need it.
A little horseradish.
You can hear it in my voice. It's,
that'll
summer
really
cold.
clear out the sinuses. You can, yeah, I know. You're basically, you can't wait to go home and relax this weekend.
It's been a week.
I know.
It's been a week.
I know.
A cold ripped through the house.
It just tore right through.
What are you gonna do?
Like and Maggie and Lucas is going to Lucas is going to not pre-K
like daycare.
Daycare, yeah. Right? So
started for the first time.
Right, started for the first time. It was an emotional first day. Maggie was crying.
Yep.
And I can understand it. Fully admit it, right? So and what happens when you introduce your child to other children
for the first time in his life, basically.
It's like a petri dish.
Yes.
So like it's happened in the Malusis household where we've had whether it be colds, whether it be a sinus infection, whether it be diarrhea running through that. I mean, it runs through all the kids. Yes. I mean, once you what they catch at school, they bring right home. So and they bring it into your home. So Maggie's been under the weather all week long. Has been a trooper. You can't really tell, but she has not felt well. And before the show, she's like, we got 4 hours, and then I get to relax and rest up and get ready for Monday.
I think I said I get to go home and die. Yeah, I don't feel that bad, but yeah, a little bit. And these Yankee games that are ending at 12:30 weren't helping matters, quite frankly. Although, because these are the times we live in. And, the pediatrician, we checked it all out, and they said, listen, they go to daycare for the first time. They're going to catch a lot of different things. They got to strengthen that immune system. And so... but because we live in these times, we're coming to the office now, had to get COVID tests just to make sure 100%, got to respect you, Moose. Obviously Pete, Dove, we're all vaccinated, but, got to do it. We're coming to the office now. And there is now a PCR test that you can get that's rapid. How about that?
Amazing.
2 hours and I got my results of a PCR test.
There's even home tests for this too.
Is that right? I thought it was only the rapid test was only like the antigen test, but this is the PCR straight up. So if the Yankees are listening, hopefully they don't have another issue like this again.
Hopefully not. Everything negative, you're all good.
All negative, all good.
You just have a bad summer cold.
That jalapeno cocktail is going to be just right.
But these colds are going throughout the whole country.
Because we've all been home and not around each other. You know what I also
Dr.
realized?
Dove.
the fallacy of, when your mom or someone says, come inside, you'll catch a cold. Like if you're like cold and wet, they say, come inside, you'll catch a cold. I don't think that's how you catch colds, quite frankly. I think you catch colds from people.
Yeah, germs.
Yeah, germs
people
is how you catch colds.
all over you, right.
Not being like
Sneezing,
cold outside.
Not washing your hands.
Not having like wet socks. That doesn't do it.
No, that does not do it.
It's people.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree with you. Let's head out to Franklin Square. It's Paul. What's going on, Paul?
Bruce Mac, thanks for taking the call.
Hey, Paul.
You got it, Paul.
Paul, you sound distant.
You sound like you're in like water. Manhattan we go. Richard, what's up, Richard?
Moose, Maggie, can you explain this to me?
We'll try.
Sessa had it last night, correct?
Yes, 5 pitches.
Mm-hmm.
Got through the
Green did not have it, correct?
Correct.
Explain this to me. Why does the guy who has it only allowed to throw 5 pitches, while the guy who doesn't have it, he's allowed to throw 18
Well,
pitches?
they didn't know that Green didn't have it yet.
Oh, the manager didn't know.
No.
Aaron Boone, whose grandfather was a ball player, whose father was a ball player, who's been involved with baseball his whole life.
Right.
did not know.
Eats, lives, and breathes baseball. Right.
Right. He didn't know
He thought
that
Green was
going to
have it.
and he didn't know that Sessa had it.
Well, he knew Sessa had it, but he didn't trust Sessa.
Well,
and he didn't
2
know.
days before Sessa had thrown an inning in the third or whatever.
When he realized Green didn't have it, it was too late.
Then where do you go?
Then
we know
Then
Brooks Christie.
right. Who
Then you
really
go right down the drain.
didn't have it. That does it for us. Our thanks to Dove and Pete across the way. Ricky, Ricardo, you guys on the phones. Have yourself a wonderful Friday. Beautiful summer Friday out there. Great weekend. Maggie, we're doing Craig and Evan's show next Monday. You guys are off Monday.
And Friday.
Yes,
Look
Monday
at you, long
and Friday.
weekend.
Monday and Friday.
And despite what SNY thinks, we are working today. Yes.
They had you off?
Yeah, great communicators.
Really?
Do you think we're going to be on TV for you on Monday and Friday? Because I'll dress accordingly. All right.
All right.
I'll get my fancy prom dress ready.
That's it. I'll look the way I look.
Way to be honest, Miss. Way to
I gotta be
incentivize it.
honest. I gotta be honest. Craig and Evan next.
Odyssey now has hundreds of new exclusive music stations for you to discover your new summer soundtrack.
Get moving with worthy workouts for a cardio sesh fueled by today's top artists.
Hanging with your crew? Throw it back with Picnic Party for old school jams for your cookout.
Or sail away with Odyssey's new yacht rock station, Jugger Yacht.
There are hundreds of new exclusive stations to check out today.
For summer barbecues,
road trips,
or relaxing poolside.
For every mood, every interest, every passion. By Odyssey. Brought to you in part by Macy's and Geico.